Hey y'all, it's Mayah Gabrielle
and Iris,
and welcome to Back to the Basics, where we ride with the most influential icons.
And make sure you're taking notes because they will be dropping gems on their journeys to success.
This is the podcast studio. We did a partnership here with Georgia Tech to have a podcast where people can film content and record amazing podcasts.
So it's kind of like a WeWork or something. Like if somebody wants to just use it, they can.
No, not anybody.
Okay.
No, not anybody can use it. We're very selective. This is
I love all the artwork.
So this is designed to be a creative space to film show, film podcast, that stuff there. Here, that way, top of the table, all this stuff.
So like some of y'all creators on that come here and
Yeah, they're there. It's cool, it's a wild, creative vibe.
What's up, everyone? I'm here with tech mogul, entrepreneur, Fanbase founder, Isaac Hayes III.
Yeah!
Yay!
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
We're super excited to have you.
Cool.
First, for people who might not know who Isaac Hayes III is, who are you?
I am an Atlanta native. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. Got to Atlanta when I was 3 years old. I was a music producer for about 20 years. And then I decided that I wanted to get into the tech space, and I founded a tech startup.
All right. So, with your background in music, what made you want to venture into tech?
Yeah.
Like, did you see a market opportunity, or did you have like a passion for tech?
I always used social media, and social media was just a great way to connect and build your brand and build your audience. And so when I first came up with the idea, it was really about ownership and giving, power and money to creators. Mm-hmm. So songwriters and musicians have a hard time making money. And so content creators were faced with the same problem. So I wanted to build something where it's like, all right, let's build something that people can use. Anybody can become a business and monetize their content the same way that a singer or an artist would.
Okay. And then a little bit about Fanbase.
Yeah.
What is that?
So Fanbase is a free to download, free to use app that we at Fanbase call the first app built for the social economy. And you hear these words like creator economy and social media and stuff like that, but what is the social economy? And the social economy is the convergence of content monetization, media, and community, all in one place, that kind of like the world is heading towards, where everybody's going to be able to make money off their social media just passively using it. Mm-hmm. So that's the social economy. Just by commenting, having conversations, creating content, that's going to be the social economy.
Okay. And I have read somewhere, I was watching an interview, you had said that you developed the idea of like subscribing to actual people.
Yeah.
Okay, how did you come up with that?
So this kid went viral from Memphis, Tennessee, dancing in the Spider-Man costume. I shot him a message and gave him a congratulations from being from Memphis. And I shot him a DM and said, congrats, young Memphis. And then he asked me to manage him. And I didn't manage creators, but I understood the need for him to monetize. And I said, wow, we need an app where people can subscribe to people like Netflix.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I did was Google subscription, like social media platforms that have subscriptions. And I couldn't find it. I only found two. Mm-hmm. The two that I found at the time was a platform called Patreon that was created in 2013. And then another platform called Fans Only at the time that eventually turned into OnlyFans, which was founded I think a year before Fanbase. But the difference was with those platforms is that you had to use a credit card and the CVV number to subscribe to a person. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to use Apple Pay or Google Pay to subscribe. And so then I said, I got a clear path to do something that no one's ever done before.
Exactly. And that's more convenient too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I feel like tech is an industry where a lot of Black entrepreneurs are underrepresented. So what challenges have you faced being a Black founder in the tech industry?
I mean, as many as you can think of. I think, access to capital, because, when you are being a person in tech, less than half of 1% of all venture dollars go towards Black people. And that is abysmal. So the access to capital, I had to fund Fanbase with my own money. I had to spend $200,000 of my own money to build the MVP of the product. So that was a hard part. I think the resistance of someone Black creating an infrastructure rather than something that Black people use that they're exploited off of. So basically, people would much rather Black people use social media, not invent it, not create it and build it, because without it, then where do these people that monetize and exploit Black culture get their money from? So if we are Black and we own it, and we're Black and we use it, where do we get into the whole situation where they can make money? So I think people don't want to see a Black man build, and scale a social media platform, because then it opens up the door for us to build, I think, alternate versions of a lot of different infrastructures, EV companies, airlines, grocery stores, anything. So once you have one, you can do more and more. And so we've primarily been pigeonholed to entertainment and sports. So you've seen Black people own basketball teams. You've seen Black people have record labels. You've seen Black people make TV shows and movies. But outside of that, they really don't want us to really start to get into the wider space, especially with tech, because the fastest way to grow wealth moving forward in the future is technology. And so they don't want to see that. So those are some real challenges that we faced.
Okay, I want to talk about like getting investors and things like that. So as a Black entrepreneur, do you find it to be more difficult with all that in mind?
So to be honest, the typical way that anybody in tech gets investors is they find angels, and angels investors are the people that fund the business in its early stages. And so I come from the music business, and so I understand percentages. So I understand that the only way you're able to actually scale a business is to have leverage through equity. So the more business I own, the more say-so and control I have. So that first $200,000 that I spent on Fanbase probably saved me 20% equity in the company. And then getting investors, the typical way, you go and ask, venture capitalists and angels. And I had a really kind of negative experience with a VC. And that VC kind of said, why would you want to build an app that's trying to compete with Instagram and TikTok? Mark Zuckerberg is a giant. And my response to that individual was simply I can build anything that Mark Zuckerberg can build, but they can't build Black people.
Exactly.
And so knowing that social media doesn't work without young people and Black people. So it's not about necessarily the technology. Anybody can build technologies. It's a bunch of people that always build apps all the time. But what makes apps special, what gives them their secret sauce, which is young people and Black culture. So I've never been to San Francisco ever. And I've seen a lot of my friends go to San Francisco and get turned down and kind of get the run around and all that stuff. And I never wanted that. So I said, I'm going to bypass that. And I'm going to raise this money from my community. And so I never really tried to do the traditional way of getting investors. I started doing I use something called equity crowdfunding, which is a relatively new way to raise capital for your business.
And how does that work?
So equity crowdfunding is the ability for a business owner to raise money from regular, average, ordinary, everyday people, which was actually illegal until 2012, 2015, in between that range. And what I mean by that was the only way that you could invest in a private business before then, since 1933, was you had to be an accredited investor, which is basically a big fancy word for an already rich person. So accredited investors have to have a net worth of $200,000, make over $200,000 a year for 2 consecutive years, or have a net worth of $1 million minus their house. So Obama and Biden created this law called the Jobs Act that wiped that rule out. So now you can raise money for your business without having to be an accredited investor. So for Fanbase, I applied for equity crowdfunding. I got accepted mid 2020. And in 2020, towards the end of 2020, all the way over the last 4 years or so, we've raised $20 million
Wow.
in 4 rounds of equity crowdfunding. I did 3 previous rounds, raised $10 million. I'm raising $17 million now, and I've raised about 10.3 of that 17.
That's amazing.
So how many users you have on Fanbase?
Fanbase has about 1.4 million users.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the crowdfunding though.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like the more money that you invest, the more like equity you get?
Correct.
So what is like the most money that somebody has invested into Fanbase?
I think the most that someone has invested is maybe $250,000 at once.
And then how much do they get in equity?
It depends on the round that they invest in.
Oh.
So we've raised, so the equity you get is based on the valuation. So for example, when I first raised Fanbase, when I first raised a Fanbase, I raised it at a $20 million valuation, then a 50, then an $85 million valuation, and now at $160 million valuation. So if someone were to initially invest the first $5 million into Fanbase, then at a $20 million valuation, I think that winds up being, I want to say, about 15% of the company, I think. I want to say that. Is that right? 20 million, 5 million of the 20. We raised about 4.5 at a $20 million valuation. So it was a good piece of the company. But then as the value of the company goes up, it's less and less equity that you get.
And like, what's your strategy to get these people to like buy in? Like, is it people you already know in your circle, or
No.
do you like? So
The circle matters. For Fanbase, for me, I wanted to build a product first. So meaning, when you have an idea, let's say, anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, it's easier to sell something or get investors for a product that already exists rather than something that's an idea. So as much as you can do, right? So as much as you can do to build your product before people invest in it, then that's what you should do. So rather than me coming saying, hey, I got this idea on a piece of paper, can you give me money to build it? Spend the money to build what's on the piece of paper, and then when people can try the app, then they can invest in that. And that really helped for Fanbase because we built a really solid MVP. And an MVP just means minimal viable product, so a prototype, a functioning prototype that's very functional. And so then I always say nothing speaks better for Fanbase than the actual app itself, because when people pick it up and use it, they're like, oh, this isn't like, a ColecoVision app. This is a real product that functions.
okay.
Yeah.
I saw probably a few months ago, a lot of celebrities were endorsing your app around the time where they were talking about TikTok was going away.
Yeah.
I saw Meek Mill, Snoop Dogg, Roland Martin.
Yeah.
Like, how you get those people to co-sign you? Are they personal friends, or like, how'd that come about?
Well, for one, I think they realize that there's a lot of frustration with like how we get treated on socials. You know what I'm saying? I think Roland was in legacy and traditional media for years, and he left that and started something called the Black Star Network. So he built his own app to distribute his show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, and he does that through YouTube. He does that through every social media platform plus the Black Star Network. And so the independence of media, that me and Roland developed that relationship because Roland truly gets it. He gets that if we don't own infrastructure, especially media, then we're at the mercy of those that do. So anything that's built, anything that we built our business on. So I don't care. And Roland has a YouTube channel of like 1.7 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. But he understands YouTube could decide that we don't want to pay you the same ad money we pay you, or we want to kill your channel or whatever. So people like that and Snoop, they just understand the value of ownership, and they're business people. And so I'm happy to have them, supporting Fanbase as they do.
Nice.
And that's the thing. Me and Maya were just talking about this. Like, social media without Black creators or like hip hop,
It wouldn't be anything.
Yeah, like literally wouldn't be anything. And like when we were banned from TikTok, everybody was like talking about how it was so boring for that day.
Literally.
That we are like the 12 hours. So
Yeah.
And I think on top of that, like you see creators like Kai Cenat making millions of dollars a
Correct.
day. But my question is, like, how hard is it to get people to go from their apps like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and switch over to an app like Fanbase?
It's been a challenge. The biggest challenge is that you're building community. But once you start to build the beginnings or the makings of a solid community, all you have to do is continue to build upon that. So the fact that Fanbase has, once you get the first million, you can get 5 million and 10 million and 100 million, right? And so for us, I would say that what we've learned over the years, these years that we've been building the platform, is, I think first and foremost, you have to build the best product available. Because people are always, there is no, especially younger generations, there's really no loyalty to these apps, right? And I remember being like 20 years ago, I went from MySpace to Facebook to Twitter to Instagram in a matter of 4 years. It was just super, super quick. I had no loyalty to any of the platforms. Just wherever the party went, I went. And that's how people feel now. And especially with some of the positions that like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have taken, as far as being very politicized and what they believe, then they're forcing a lot of people saying, I don't even want to be part of this stuff. Like I was just talking about this today with an investor. I was like, look, I just want to scroll the app, dog. I just want to see. I don't want to do all the stuff y'all talking about, all this extra political stuff y'all on. I don't feel like being a part of that. And I think people want that. So building community is a challenge. But if you focus on the product, and what we say at Fanbase is, first, you focus on the product, which creates product-led growth. Then you get something called retention. And so retention is just how long you can keep somebody in an app. So once you get that retention metric, that formula really, really good, then you can start marketing the app. So everything that we've done so far, we've never spent money marketing Fanbase, like dollars, like ads and stuff like that, right? It's all been word of mouth, which is amazing, because once you have that retention situation really figured out, and the formula been figured out, then you can dump money on it, because no matter how many people, a certain number of people that come into Fanbase, that a certain number of people are going to stay. So for every million users we get moving forward, we know that 210,000 are always going to stay there. We're going to have them for life. So then now you can feed that and build a business off of that.
And since you come from like such a creative space and creative household, with your father being Isaac Hayes, how do you think that influenced your approach to business and like innovation?
It is everything.
Yeah.
So my father lost the rights to his music a year before I was born, in '74. Those music rights probably have generated, since '74, probably over $85 million that my father never saw, our family never saw.
Wait. So you guys haven't been getting that royalty since '74, you said?
Yeah. So my father, even before all the songs that sampled Isaac Hayes, and he never saw any of that money. Wow. So I didn't grow up. The contrary to popular belief, I didn't grow up rich. Yeah. I had a famous father. My father filed for bankruptcy. My parents got divorced when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Me, my mom, and my sister lived in a 1-bedroom condo right here in Atlanta. And I slept in the bed with my mom all through middle school. And then when I got to high school, we got a 2-bedroom condo. My sister slept in the bed with my mom, and I had my own room as a boy. But that process of my father losing ownership of his IP was everything to me. And for me, I didn't even, what was more important about that is, like, when you don't have the ownership of your IP, then it changes everything. And so I didn't, in the music business, when I went into the music business, I'm a really good producer, but one of the things that people always wanted from me was my publishing. And it's kind of that, like, if you don't sign this publishing deal, we're not going to let you put you on these albums, and we're not going to let you work with these artists. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'll just license my music. And I learned that from doing this movie called ATL with T.I. I licensed about 8 songs for that movie before I ever had a hit in the music business. Wow. I actually licensed my instrumentals for the movie, and I made like $85,000 at one time. And I was like, oh, okay. So you're not buying my music, you're just getting permission to use it in a movie. And so then at that point, I started to license my music for TV and film. So movies, reality shows, NBA on TNT, all these. And that's how I actually started making money in the music business. I had a couple records that I was a part of in music, but again, I wouldn't sign those publishing deals, and I never did. And so even the fact that I never signed a pub deal, the money that I used to build Fanbase was money that I advanced myself from my publishing that I owned off the music that I was licensing for TV and film, and I never would have been able to do that. So this whole thing is full circle. It's about ownership of IP. And that's, I always say, that's my generational trauma, seeing my father lose the rights to his music. And so for me, it's like, if I can't own it, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a part of it. If I can't own it, I'm cool. And it'll cost you some opportunities, but in the long run, I think it's really helped me with Fanbase, because I've been very, very keen, even how I built Fanbase as a business. In companies, you have two, different types of stock and different types of securities. And so for Fanbase, there's only two types of securities currently for the company, which is voting stock and non-voting stock. And so I'm the only person that has voting stock in the company. So I don't have a board. No one can fire me. No one can tell me what to do. And that's something that happened to Steve Jobs when he was younger. He got fired from Apple because people have voting control over his board. He had a board, they voted him out of the company. And when Mark Zuckerberg built Facebook, they kind of ran that new model of, let's create a different class of stock structure, so that even if you have, for every vote that somebody on the board has, you have 1,000 votes. So you can never be voted out of your company. And so that's how, I built Fanbase, to say ownership is everything.
So a lot of things you've been putting in place with Fanbase is because of previous just life lessons you learned from what happened with your dad, from seeing everything. Do you feel that you being a music producer and being in the music industry and now switching over to tech, is that strategic because you feel tech is going to eventually make more money than the music industry?
No, I think in any business that you're in and you're trying to kind of make like a transition into a new business, I think you just use the information that you have. So if I was an athlete trying to go into tech, I'm pretty sure that there's some principles about sports and teams that apply directly on how you build a tech company. For me, I was in the music business, so I understand percentages. So I had to look at it like, okay, the VCs are like the label, the apps are like the artist, and the App Store charts are like the Billboard charts. So in theory, if you're a tech founder, you started an app or a company. That's the artist. If you don't have any buzz and you just walk into any record company right now and try to ask them to get signed, they'll say, oh, you're talented. We'll sign you, but we're going to give you the worst deal possible for you. So we're going to own your masters, your publishing, you're going to do a 7-album deal, all this other stuff. And so for me, I was like, well, if I can create leverage without taking money from venture capital, the labels, then I'm independent. So the fact that I've been able to sell $20 million worth of equity in my company out the trunk of my car, as opposed to being signed to a VC, that's leverage. That means VCs can't say, oh, we can't just put anything in front of him because he can go out and raise money. I've proven it. And so that gives you leverage. And so that's the direct correlation to the music business and myself. So even as Fanbase, even when, put it like this, when the TikTok ban happened, we shot up to number 6 in the App Store of all social media platforms. And I think number like 14 of all the apps on the Apple App Store.
Oh, wow.
So, and there are more than 2 million apps. And so imagine we're having this moment and we're number 14 on the App Store and we're not signed to nobody. So there's no VC, there's nobody involved. So that's being independent. And then your phone rings, because when you create that kind of leverage and you sustain that type of and I call that like our first hit. Like, we wanted to try, we had one, right? And you get another one and we get the, top 5, 10, and that's when the labels start calling and say, how much do you want for us to invest in your company? And then I'll say, okay, well, give me $100 million for, 10% of my company at $1 billion valuation. And then that's how you create that leverage.
Okay, I have a question about you working in the music industry and licensing your music.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most amount of money that you got for like one licensing deal?
For myself, maybe 125,000.
Just to use it like in a show or a movie?
Yeah, commercial.
Okay.
So commercials pay more. So how it works is commercials pay the most, then movies, and then TV shows. So when you're licensing, so for instance, I manage my father's estate now. So we did a license for one of his legacy songs for a brand. I think it might have been, I can't remember what it was. It was a legacy. I think it might have been an Oreo or somebody, but anyway, they wanted $400,000 to use for permission to use that song based on 100% of the publishing. So and when you license something, you license the publishing and the master. So you license the actual sound recording, and then the writers who wrote the song, they get the exact same amount. So that was an $800,000 license just to use a song for a few months over the Christmas season. So that's why publishing is like musical real estate. You own it till you sell it. So when you see people say, "Oh man, I sold my publishing," so you basically sold your real estate. Like my dad losing his publishing, that's the part that was terrible, because people went along and sampled those records and turned those records into hits by Biggie and Tupac and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Kanye West and Wu-Tang Clan and all those records. The fortunate thing, the blessing in all that is there is a law in copyright that those works return to the author after 56 years or 35 years after 1978. So for us, we started reclaiming my father's copyright back in 2014. And so as of now, we've got his songwriting catalog, which consists of songs like Hold On, I'm Coming and Soul Man, these classic soul records. And up next are the Isaac Hayes records that people probably are really familiar with, like Shaft, things like that. We'll get those songs back. And then the next phase of terminations, where we're going to go reclaim copyright, are all the rap songs that used him. So we'll get that publishing back. It's just, so now that'll be something that'll belong to my family, and eventually I'll be a 18-year-old little brother. So he'll eventually, run and control all of that.
So speaking, you saying a lot of people sampled the songs and stuff. There was something recently about Donald Trump using your dad's song, and then you took him to court. What's that? Like, I've never heard of a black person suing Trump. You might be the first black person to ever sue Donald Trump. That's wild.
Well, I'll just say this, because it's still actually an open case.
Okay.
So it's not resolved, but I will say that because we have ownership of the copyright, politicians just have to get permission to play your songs in association with political rallies.
Oh, so he played the song during the right? What song was it?
It was a Hold On, I'm Coming song he wrote by Sam and Dave. And so for that very reason, it was, once you own those copyrights, you have the right to decide who can play your music at a political rally, and he didn't have the permission to do that. So we're working on resolving that now. But yeah.
Is things changed now, considering he's the president? You think it's going to be harder to actually get something of a result?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know about that. I just know that, in these situations, you just want to stick to the facts. You just want to present the facts of the matter and let things kind of fall how they fall. There's really not much you can do other than that.
Okay.
Like, what was your reaction when you saw it? Did somebody call you, ask you?
No, I'd actually seen it myself, and when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's okay," and and that was cool. I just, I definitely made a statement about how we didn't approve of the use, but then it just kind of got a little overboard, and we had to do something about it, because then it was multiple uses. And so, and again, it's just, that it doesn't, for me, it's a matter of, I'll just say this: my father lost his rights to his music, and in 2022, those rights returned to our family in March for that particular record, and less than 2 months later, someone is infringing on those rights. So you just gotta, that's all that it is.
Crazy.
It's just, it's simple.
And you said it takes 56 years?
56 years before 1978. After 1978, it takes 35 years.
Oh, okay.
So artists that wrote songs. So if you wrote a song in 1990, then now your publishing is starting to come back, which is why I said a lot of the rap records are starting to terminate. So hip hop sampling really got big in the 90s. So 89, 90, all those songs right then and there, those records are about to start to come back.
Yep.
So you get the royalties from that, like from say 1990 to now, or it's like
no,
now
it's starting now. Now it just starts moving forward. But the cool thing, but the part that's really good about that is now we're in the era of streaming. See, before streaming, one of those songs, like let's say "Hold On, I'm Coming," or an old rap song, it would only be played on an oldie rap station, or you have to go into some old record shop to buy the record. With streaming, all of creative music is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So people can play your song, and even with platforms and social media that use music, like TikTok, like Fanbase, now these songs can have a rebirth, a reintroduction to a new generation of people and make those songs go viral. I've seen that with Love by Keisha Cole, right? I've seen Miguel, one of his songs, Sure Thing, actually charted higher 2 years ago than it did when he originally did the song, and that's because people could stream that record and younger audiences are learning about that record, and that's the power of streaming. I love it. And to add context to that, there's only about 650 million people using music streaming services, but there's probably about 7 billion on the people on the planet that could have them on their phone. And so by 2030, there's going to be 1 billion people on music streaming services. So imagine the money that's going to be made by people that own publishing, by people streaming your music. That's why people are trying to buy catalogs. Everybody's trying to buy your catalog and all that. And we didn't sell our catalog. We did a partnership with a company called Primary Wave for my father's music. But that's the point. You never want to sell it. You want to own that real estate.
So would you say it's more lucrative to be a label owner and pursue starting a label rather than being an artist? Because I know some artists are really making money, and then there's some artists that aren't making money. But I feel like the record label's never not gonna make money if they sign the right people.
Honestly, if you want my opinion is, it's more advantageous to be a content creator.
For sure.
And what I mean by that is that when I built Fanbase, first of all, when you build an app, you want to build something that disrupts the current state of affairs. So Fanbase is disruptive in a way that it'll allow musicians to make more money than the labels they're signed to. It'll give athletes an opportunity to make more money than the teams they play for. It'll give actors and actresses the ability to make more money than the studios they make films for. They will own that. See, because of AI, fiction is no longer going to matter. And the best way I can explain that is real life is going to be more entertaining than fiction. Hence why the most popular thing on earth or in America right now is football. Because you don't know how it's going to end. So you have to stay glued to the TV, even to the point that they move the damn field goal, the extra point back. Now you got to watch the extra point because people might miss that shit. So when you're watching the things that happen in real life, they're far more entertaining because you don't know the outcome. So streaming, like video game streaming, all these things that you don't know. So for me, it's more advantageous and lucrative to be a content creator because the entire planet is your potential audience, which is why if there's 6 billion people, so let's just do math. If there's 6 billion people on the planet with a smartphone, that means realistically, there's 6 billion people that could subscribe to you if you wanted to. And so my point is, people subscribing to people is going to be more lucrative than Netflix, because when you subscribe to Netflix, you only subscribe to it one time. But if I can subscribe to one person over here for $2.99, another person for $2.99, another brand for $2.99, another production company for $2.99, I can create this whole type of content package that I really, really am honed in on, instead of I pay $25 a month for Netflix and I only watch 3 shows, but they got 50,000 pieces of content. I'm wasting money. So that's the reason why content creation is going to be the new job of the future, because real life matters. So my point is, I would subscribe to see a couple, if they always getting in fights and the drama or the intrigue or what, because it's real life. It's not a scripted series about he got your cousin, he slept with your sister and got the cousin. That really happened. That's more entertaining.
Yeah.
So people would subscribe to that. Or when I say for artists make money two ways primarily. They make money from selling their music, and they make money from performing their music. But there are large gaps of time that they're doing neither. And in between those times, they're living life. And people want to know what their favorite artists are doing. So how do you stay in shape? What do you eat when you're working on your album? What's your creative process? You're on vacation. Where are you going? Like how, and people will pay for that. And that right there, that opens the world up for everybody. Anybody. Anybody can be a content creator. It's how creative you are with whatever you're doing.
Question: If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, and you say you had to start from scratch, what would you be into?
I said I would be into music. Here's why I would be into music. Music is a lot more easy to penetrate now than it was. There are no those now you can blow up off TikTok. Now I can find an artist, put him in the studio, drop the record, and have that stuff start streaming on TikTok and blow up. Before, it was you got to go to the club and pay the DJ to play your music in the club, and then you got to get it to radio, and you got to get it to mix show, and you get it to mix show, and then you got all that. And you got to jump $250,000 into doing all that kind of stuff. And I tried that in 2008, 9, and 10. And I was very, very unsuccessful. I spent as much money doing that as I did building Fanbase, and didn't get anything out of it. Right? And so I love the fact, and so now with technology, there is no middleman. I build an app, I put it on the App Store. If people want to use it, they use it. If they don't, they don't. And that's what I love about the world we live in now, is there are there are always going to be some form of gatekeepers, but there's really an opportunity for you to just kind of do what you want and exist how you want and make money that way. So if I wasn't, doing this with Fanbase, I would probably still be doing music, but I would be applying the same principles, using technology, using, social media to get, community, all those things out there to still kind of build the same, environment that has us building Fanbase right now.
In your music career, what would you say is one of the most highlighted points that you can remember and say, you know what, I remember that time during the music, I worked with this person. It was like, just give us a moment where you really cherish that moment.
And do you miss it? I feel like.
So, as a creative, I would say yes, but what I love about being a tech founder is I get to be creative.
Yeah.
And then I have hobbies that are creative. I like to cook. Yeah. So I like to cook, you know what I'm saying? I get to make cool meals and stuff like that. I think a highlight of me, my production career is probably the most success that I've had as a producer is when I produced Money in the Bank on Lil Scrappy. And
that was you?
Yeah, Money in the Bank, yeah, Lil Scrappy and Young Buck.
Okay, you never know who the producers are. You never know. Like,
yeah.
That was a hit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a gold record, gold ringtone. Okay, V103.
Money in the Bank. What you think?
Yeah, that was probably the most that was the most fun that I had because it was just raw.
Yeah.
It wasn't that record wasn't even supposed to exist. And the fact that it did exist, I was really excited about that. I thought that was really, really special. And me and Scrappy made something special, and it was just a moment. I actually saw something to make a beat and then go from a beat to a record, and then people be singing your record, and you get to shoot a video. We went to LA and shot the video, and it was Lil Jon, and it was, Cat Williams and Chameleonaire and everybody. It was the middle of the crunk era, so it was just a lot of fun. I mean, it was just the best time ever. I always remember those times.
That's crazy. Question: who is the most famous person in your phone? I need to know that.
I'm trying to think.
He said it's too many.
Too many famous.
No, because I have people's numbers that I don't like. I have the number, but I might not have used it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I got your number. Whatever.
You got like a Obama in your phone or something?
No, Obama isn't. I mean, Snoop's in my phone. I mean, Snoop is huge.
That's major.
Technically, Snoop is the most famous rapper ever.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Yeah, Snoop is
everywhere.
Snoop's in my phone. There's a lot of famous people that are in my phone, but I probably say I'm trying to think because I was thinking on like a political level, like who.
No, that was the next question. Who's the most powerful person in your phone? Like, do you got a Condoleezza Rice or Colin Powell?
You know what? I know I do. I just haven't used it. Cause I got like 8,000, 9,000 numbers on my phone. I'm one of the people that had a sidekick and kept my contacts rolling through
sidekick
all the way to iPhone, you know what I'm saying? All the way from
That's
iPhone 4 all the way up till now. So I done had the same phone number since like 1998.
Oh wow.
So that's probably before y'all was born. So that's crazy. People
A
been
year
calling me.
before I was born.
That's what I'm saying. People been calling me before y'all was alive on a cell phone. That's crazy. No, I got some good. I mean, you know what it is? I think. Well, I'll say this though too, is if I don't have those numbers, like if I don't have Obama's number, I know the person that does.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about relationships. I might not have Obama, but I have a relationship with a person that does have that number.
Connection.
I might not have Tyler Perry's number, but I know somebody that can call him right now and put me on the phone with him. And that is really, really important in business because relationships are more valuable than money.
Yeah.
So there's a saying that it's not about what you know, it's who you know. So how true is that in the industries that you're in?
It's a principle of life. I came up with a quote, a famous quote that's unfamous, but I call it famous. But it's this. It says it's be careful how you climb the tree of success. The branches you break on the way up are not there to catch you if you fall. So the tree of success you keep the relationships on the way up. You don't step on people to get to where you want to be. Because then you mess up and it's like, damn. And it's like, oh, and it's like, yeah, that's what you get. I'm waiting for your downfall because you broke all these relationships. So I'm a relationship person. And I always say the sign of a true relationship person, if you can have your number, like you don't have to change your number. Like I said, if I got the same number since 1998, I ain't running from nobody. I don't owe nobody no money. I ain't ducking the feds. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's like when you do that, and that's extremely, extremely important. I know there are a few people I know like that, and I've seen them. I've seen people like Shaka Zulu or even AJ Calloway. I don't know if you know AJ from 106 in Park. Just people I know, people that are really, really just, they're connected individuals, and that's kind of their superpower because there's value in that. If you know the guy that works for the guy that does this, because it's always like, oh yeah, I know him. You want to go to the game? You want to go to the Super Bowl? I know the guy. Come on, let's go. Like that's more access is everything, and so I always like to pay it forward that way. I love introducing people and saying you two need to know each other because whatever transpires from that relationship, you never know. You could put two people together, and then as successful as they get, they might be able to help you in something later.
Right.
I know people all the time say, I know people say, I gave such and such his first job, and now he's the head of advertising at this, and now I can go back to him and say, yo, hook my artist up with such and such and so and so. So it's like, that's why relationships are just more valuable than money.
Yeah.
So how do you end up befriending somebody that is somebody that you want to consider in your network? Because a lot of people say, oh, you just got to be personable and do this, but like it's a little bit harder than that. Sometimes people say you got to just be true.
I think you have to, for it to really be genuine, you have to be of service. So you have to provide value for free without asking for anything in return. You just have to genuinely say, I can help you with that. Being of service. Typically it's not about like, cause if you're trying to build this, exploitive relationship with a person, it's not necessarily going to work out the best way for you. So it's like, being of service, when you say, oh, I know that you can help me with this or you can do this, that's how you build a relationship. It's kind of like when you hear about those people that intern at the record company, like they slept on the floor and they were cleaning up and while they was there, they was learning how to do everything, but then you're of service. So now it's like, oh, I recognize you work hard. Hey, come do this. Come try this. And that's how you really get your foot in the door. Is really just you got to earn your stripes and be of service and be a good person. Like I said, I mean, relationships are everything. I love the fact that I can pick up the phone and call people, and my network is vast. It's like, and it extends from tech to TV and entertainment and advertising and politics, and it was like it's prime examples. Like I needed a political favor one time. I needed to get a passport like super, super quick. And like I was able to go get it the same day because I knew somebody that knew the senator that could do.
Yeah.
And we like, all right, see, when you got that, that's kind of really, really cool. Cause like, all right, cool. And that's the thing that's like dope. It's like, okay, those relationships really, really matter. And so you just got to be of service and be a good person.
I feel like we're all like a product of that, because me and Iris met at Quality Control Music as interns back in like 2023.
Oh, dope.
And then she met JP, then I met JP, and now we're doing this. So it's like relationships do matter. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking about relationships, we are in Atlanta, and everybody, there's business relationships and there's romantic relationships. So I gotta ask you, being who you are, the background you come, successful and CEO of a company, is it hard dating in Atlanta? And let's rewind back. Are you in a relationship?
Well,
It's crazy.
I know, because I'm like, who answers that question? Who asked that question? So I'll say this: I'm dating.
Okay.
But here's the thing, and this is maybe something that a lot of people may or may not want to hear. I'm a big believer in you have to love something of your own just as much as you love another person. If you have something that you love just as much as a human being, you will never be lonely. And when I tell you I love Fanbase,
That is a word.
when I'm telling you I love Fanbase, like
That's
it's
a
a
word.
joy to get up every day and go to work. I'm happy every day because me and Fanbase don't fight.
And with
Me and when we argue, it's something that's my own. I get to build, because I think we put a lot of emphasis on relationships, and if you put emphasis on personal development and success, then I think those things fall into place. I think because we make decisions on relationships that we think we're doing what everybody else is supposed to do. Like, again, I've changed. I'm the kind of person, like, this is just me personally, I don't believe in anything that another human being invented. So listen to what that says. So my point is, who invented girlfriends and boyfriends? Did God invent that? God didn't invent girlfriends and boyfriends.
People did.
Aren't you either single or you married, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so girlfriend, boyfriend, what is that? Do you really not wear white after Labor Day?
Yeah, I don't follow that rule.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Why would you? Like, why? My point is, why do we follow these rules, traditions, and customs just made up by other people? I'm gonna wear white after Labor Day if I want the all black party. I'm gonna show all white to the black party. I'm not gonna not. What you talking about, bro? I'm gonna do what I want to do, like, and so that's the thing about like marriage or I gotta have a boyfriend and we're mixing up all these things. But I mean, in Atlanta, I think if you have an agenda on being in a relationship, then living in Atlanta is hard. It's hard. If you're here for an agenda, if you're here for, and what I mean by that is, like, if you're a person that says, like, I want a relationship, then it's going to be hard, because you're actually subconsciously living your life by a set of predetermined conditions that have you making decisions just to get to the desired outcome.
You're like chasing it.
It's like you're in this relationship because you want to say I got a man or I got a woman. You're engaged because you want to say I got a ring on it. Like, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to get married. Just to say you got married, because then you turn around 2-3 years later you divorce. Like, what'd you do all that for? So I think if you really, my advice is to focus on a true friendship. I know that the friend zone is something that has always been talked about. Almost as kind of like a negative, but the love of your life or the relationship you've always been looking for is in your friend zone.
Them slow burns.
Yeah.
No, it's in platonic. For sure.
Yeah.
And when that person leaves you, at least you have like your passions, like you said, something that you love, like Fanbase for you. Like, I feel like having your passions is important, because if people put all their focus on relationship and then that person leaves and they have nothing left.
Man, listen, that hurts. I've seen so many of my friends in life, and I think it's more damaging to women. I always say this in relationships, because I'll say I would never ask anybody to do something for me that I wouldn't do for them. So I would never tell somebody to quit a job or move to another city, because I'm not quitting Fanbase. I'm not about to move. I'm not doing any of that. The goal is to be two completely individual people that have your own lives and your own happiness, your own social circle, your own goals, and you guys just so happen to be walking in the same direction. You aspire for the same things. But if you want to be an actress and he wants to be at home and have a wife in the kitchen and watch college football on Saturdays, it ain't gonna work. If she wants to be a stay-at-home mom and raise kids and you want to be a dad and do that, then that kind of happens. And so you got to slow that process down, because if not, somebody's going to make a sacrifice, and then you're going to resent the sacrifices that you made. And I've seen it happen so many times where women just have excellent opportunities for careers, and then they give that up, and then they get divorced, and it's like, wait a minute, I quit my career, I moved to San Antonio to be with you, and now you break up with me and you start dating the girl at Hooters. I could have been a lawyer doing what the hell, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to do that. So no, it's only hard if you got an agenda. If you just chill, it'll show up. Now I'm not a woman, so I don't know how hard it is. Now that part, I can't speak for the ladies. I can just speak for the men.
Since we're talking about relationships, do you feel like a person has to be financially stable in order to get into a relationship? Do you feel like that's important?
As a woman too, because we know what men. Do you feel as a man that your woman should have a certain type of purchasing power?
You don't want me to answer these questions.
Nah, we do
though.
for real.
We do.
Need some insight.
Because I've been telling people, like, some of the most successful men don't want a woman that's just gonna be a leech. They want her to have her own motion too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, like, how can I mean, I don't think that how much you make has anything to do with the relationship. Because it really doesn't. Again, because we're not married.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of conversations that people have, that they're having marriage conversations with relationship,
Qualifications.
Yeah. What do you mean 50-50? Or I need a man to pay 100% of the bills. Who? Bro, we aren't married. And here's the thing. And the crazy part about that is like, in that era, the reason why men were being those types of providers, because women could not work. It's not like men were just stepping up to the plate. It was illegal for women to work. So the man had it. So the only thing a woman could do is be a stay-at-home mom and have this, this patriarchal position of just raising kids and cleaning the house and all that. That's all that she was allowed to do. So that's why men had to step up and do that. Once women started entering the workforce, I mean, now it's a partnership. It's like, what goal are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to accomplish a goal, or are you just trying to save money? You just trying to have extra money in your pocket? If you don't have a goal-oriented vision, then I wouldn't do that, because I'm a minimalist. I'm not paying for a woman's attention, affection, time, none of that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But for you though, like if you were broke today, God forbid, would you date or would you stack your money up? Because I feel like a lot of men tend to be insecure.
I would definitely. It's not that I would stack my money up. I would just work on my own personal development.
Yeah.
So meaning, like, the old saying goes, you will never lose a woman chasing money, but you would lose plenty of money chasing women. So as long as you stay on because women recognize success. They see you in motion. So if you have no motion and you trying to get in the ocean, then that ain't it. But if they see you on the ocean with the yacht, you ain't got to do nothing. You good. So that's my point is, like, for me, because I was that way.
Yeah.
That's why I said that the phrase, work hard as a kid, play hard as an adult is so important, because when I was a young man starting out, I was at home, and this is even in my mid 20s. So I'm talking about 24, 25, 26, 27. I was downstairs in my mama's house in the basement, no girlfriend, no car, no money, learning how to use Pro Tools, learning how to write, learning how to produce, learning about graphic design, voiceover, and all those things. And so I gave myself a set of skills that I could hustle as an entrepreneur and not necessarily have a job. So as I was doing that, all of my friends who went to high school, went to college, but they also got had girls, went to frat parties, drinking, doing all the things that they did. And then you leave college and enter the real world and say, I got to get a job. And my college was those 8 years. So then when I stepped into the music business, I had skills that I could actually, make money with. So it was still a grind and a hustle, but it's a lot more, it's almost like learning to live in the wild. You can't, like most people, you can take a person right now. You can take a person out of a 9-to-5 right now and say, okay, go make some money. Right? They'd be terrified. They feel like their life about to end. They'd be stressed out. But you could take me right now. I can go find some. I can go make some money. I know how to make something out of nothing, because that's what even being a music producer is. I used to have friends of mine saying, "Oh, being a music producer is easy." I'm like, wait a minute. No, it's not. If you show up to what you do every day and do what you're told, you're going to get a check unless they lay you off. But if you follow the rule, follow instructions, clean these tables, whatever, call these calls, file these papers, whatever it is, you'll get paid. But me, I have to think of notes and patterns in my head, manifest them through my fingers into electric instruments, put those instruments down, that allow somebody else to put their creative IP on top of that, sell that to a record company that they market and promote, and then after they do all of that, then I get paid. No, that's a lot harder.
Since we're on the topic of music, if you were to produce a song today, like, who would you want to collab with? Like today's artist.
Oh, Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bruno Mars.
What makes you say that?
Because he's a musician and a performer. He's an artist.
Is.
He's a songwriter. Yeah. He can play instruments. He can perform. I know that working with someone like him gives my music the best available chance to be the best it can be. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's the talent, the reach of the talent, the scale of the talent.
I think he's one of like the last few performers we have left.
There's some up and coming artists really talented. I think we don't have a lot of music development now, which is the part that's really missing.
For sure.
That's the issue.
Yeah, artist development. We don't have the people that like you ain't getting another Beyonce.
For sure.
It's just not gonna happen, because ain't nobody been finna work that hard.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody finna run around a track in some high heels and sing. How Matthew Knowles had his daughters, had Beyonce doing and Kelly and them, wearing heels, walking around a track, learning how to sing, keep that breath control. All that, it's like being an athlete.
Yeah.
You only get those, you go, if you ever notice those really, really talented superstar artists, they have those really dogmatic parents that just like, okay, this is what you're going to be. And it's almost like there's a silver lining to it. It's a little rough, because everybody usually says like Richard Williams was tough on Venus and Serena, but look at the 2 daughters he made. Joe Jackson was hard on Michael and Jan, but look what the kids he made. Matthew Knowles hard on Beyonce, but look what the kid he made. Tiger Woods' dad, like look at the, look at the product of their determination to see
King
that
Richard
succeed. Yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you think that's like a product of artists not wanting to work hard? Do you think it's a product of like not having the middleman anymore, and us just being able to go on our phone and make a video
on TikTok and it go viral?
And next thing you're like on charts.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think it's the money comes. It's a lot more money, and it comes a lot faster. So the success arc of an artist today, like let's say a Glorilla, who's phenomenally talented, no questions asked. And I actually think the reason why she's so successful is because she does have artist development. They are picking the right songs. She is being produced. She is listening, right? But that success track took a lot. Like Glorilla is she's more successful now than Outkast was on their 3rd album. You see what I'm saying? Like by the time Outkast, Glorilla's more successful, like known wise than Outkast was when they had Aquemini. They did Southern Playalistic, ATLNs, and Aquemini. She's at Stankonia level
And that's because
No.
contributing to the advancement of technology, correct?
Yeah, and the speed, but I mean also the money. I'm like a friend of mine was telling me that at the height of Nelly's fame in his first album, at the height of his first album fame, he might have got 40,000 on a weekend.
No way.
Shows.
From Country Grammar?
Yeah, but I'm saying doing shows, performing.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying 40,000 to perform and do a show. I'm saying right now, I know artists that get $1 million a show.
For sure.
Yeah.
$1 million a show, like now. So it's like, yo, so that money comes so quick. Like the amount of money that NBA YoungBoy, I mean, like, man, come on, man. These artists are making hundreds of millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I think hip hop has grown. It's such a global export that there's just so much money to be made and such value to all of that.
Do you think that there is a strategic attack on our culture and our people? Because you don't see stuff like this in other race genres. Like, what is the white equivalent to Sexy Red? What's the Asian equivalent to Lotto and Megan Thee Stallion? Why is it only in the black community?
It's not in the black community. It's in hip hop, and I'm gonna tell you why. And it's a good thing about hip hop. Hip hop is the only immortal art form. Listen to what I mean. It's a real time art form. Every other genre of music is based around an emotion, a feeling, right, or a style. Hip hop is based around what's happening right now, who the president is, the song might have "I got the new Lambo truck" because that's the thing that's popular right now. It's about real time, what's happening. So wherever society is at right now, hip hop is going to reflect that. Music is not going to typically. Love songs are going to reflect an emotion, a fixed emotion, a genre about what it is. So it's like, you know, I love you, I hate you, I miss you, those types of things. Hip hop is who is the hottest basketball player right now, who's the finest woman, what's the hottest club in the city, who's the sexiest stripper, all of that. And now you combine that with social media. I think we're a lot more sensitive and sensitive because of the fact that we learn and we experience all these things in real time. And so I think it just made people a lot more sensitive. So pretty much like this. The reason, I don't think it has anything to do with what you're talking about. I think it has more to do with if you ask a girl out on a date in 95 and she said no, If you ask her out in 2025, she get on TikTok like, I turned that boy down. He ain't got this, he ain't this, he ain't that. And now it's all over school. Not all over school, it's all over the world. And now you're embarrassed. So now it's like, man, now I'm mad. Now I'm sensitive. Now I don't love these girls. And because I got my feelings hurt. So I think it's an exacerbation of, people just getting their feelings hurt. Like I said, it's like, when you get, it's the same thing with, with social media. It's like, you get, when you were the fine girl in school, you got attention from the school. You was the finest girl in school. Now you the finest girl literally on this half of the earth.
Literally.
Like your DMs be filled with dudes like celebrities, and you were just working at Home Depot yesterday. Yes. So it's the I think it's the connectivity. I don't think it's anything to do with the content. I think it's the connectivity, and that connectivity has a reaction to people that make them defensive.
Do you think that it could be detrimental to our future and our growth, seeing what gangster rap did to today's black men compared to what they used to be and how they used to dress and how they used to act?
I don't think. I'm telling you, I don't think it's gangster rap. I honestly don't, because I grew up in the gangster rap era, and I'm not a gangster. Like,
but you came from a solid background.
That's not
household.
I got friends of mine that came from non-solid backgrounds and hoods and everything else like that. It's not necessarily that. I think that, again, opportunity is probably more important than the actual music. It's the access to opportunity. You can. So my point is like, even what you just said, the problem isn't gangster rap. It's the problem that do people that listen to gangster rap have an opportunity to escape their environment.
True.
If I got an opportunity to go to the good school or go to college and get a good job and get educated at a stuff like that, then I can escape what's written in the records. Mm-hmm. If I can't escape what's written in the records, I'm gonna wind up living the records.
True.
So it's more access to opportunity. And my point is that the records are just a reflection of what's going on in the environment. So it's not like they're lying. So it's just a cycle that expresses itself. And then from that expression, it's documented, recorded, put out there, and it's recycled. And this is something else too. And I've seen this in I seen this on, what is it? I think it's Eggs and Grits podcast. I saw this lady talking about black people make looking poor so cool that people think we like it. We just know how to make the most with the least.
Yeah.
Same things with chitlins and pig feet,
right.
because they gave us scraps,
Bruh,
and we figured out how to make it.
Streetwear is something that streetwear comes from not having, inventing your own clothes and your own style. And so I think the lady that said it, she goes, we make poverty look so cool. I think people think we like that shit.
It's creative.
Because we just know how to make the most with the least.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a part of it too. We're just very, very innovative. And so for me, I don't like I said, I wouldn't call it gangster rap. I definitely don't think I think it's just access to opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We
Yep.
appreciate you. This is such a good conversation. And before we let you go, where can the people find you and learn more about Fanbase?
On Fanbase, you can go to you can download Fanbase from iOS and Android, make a profile, migrate your content from Instagram or TikTok, hop in audio rooms. I'm at Isaac Hayes 3 on Fanbase and all other socials, and that's it.
Well, you heard it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.